Good afternoon and welcome to another Thoughts at 3 online assembly. My name is Matt and I'm part of the schools team at Southampton City Mission. As you know, we would normally be in schools right now doing our Question of Faith days, assemblies, transition support and prayer spaces and so on. But because of the continuing measures in place by the government, we still can't go into schools, although it is looking very promising for next academic year beginning in September, as we've been discovering recently, which is really great news. Loads of schools have started booking in for next year their Question of Faith days and assemblies and stuff like that, which is fantastic. But we are continuing to do these online. We've got 1 week left. Can you believe that? 1 week left of the whole academic year next week. But I am here with the final Thoughts at 3 for this week, where we will be continuing our Meet the Team series, and we will be speaking to Teresa in a moment. So if you have got any questions for Teresa, then please do add them into the live comments. If you're watching on YouTube and you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, please do that. If you are watching on Facebook, then please like our page, and you can also find us on Instagram at SCM Schools as well. I'm trying a slightly different audio setup today, so if you're having trouble hearing me, please do let us know in the comments as well. Although it would be great to give you a shout out, and I can't do that if you can't hear me. I don't know if you go on my side. Hopefully that didn't cut out for you. Hopefully you can still hear me. Lucy says I've frozen. Hopefully I'm back again. Who knows? So we are going to invite Teresa in with us to the stream. If you have any questions for her, then please do put them in the comments. And as I said, if you'd like to say hello, let us know what school you know us from so that we can give you a shout out in the comments. I'm going to invite Teresa in now, who has been in the green room enjoying not purple Smarties this week, but specially requested orange Smarties that she asked for. So we're going to add her in now and see if she has been enjoying those in the green room. Let's see if I can add her in. Hello, Teresa.
Hello, Matt. Yeah, I have got the Smarties. Thank you.
Fantastic. I'm glad you're enjoying those in the green room there. I should just say that Teresa's on the other side of Southampton. Yes, hello, Teresa. Hello, and welcome to Thoughts at 3. Please, could you tell us a tiny bit about yourself and also how long you've been with City Mission and what schools you normally go to, please?
Yeah, so about 6 or 7 years ago, I think, I first started helping in an RE day at my son's local school that was run by a local church there. And I really enjoyed that. Then I heard about Southampton City Mission Question of Faith days. Thought that sounded really exciting. So I came to meet you and some of the other team and started helping out there. And then about 2.5 years ago, I was challenged to start leading days. I was a little bit reluctant, to say the least, because I don't really like being up front and doing things up front. But I've kind of got used to it now, and I've been leading days for about 2.5 years now. I've been into about 18 different schools in and around Southampton with City Mission. The ones I tend to go into are the ones around the Shirley area where I live. So Hollybrook Infant School, Oakwood Primary, Fair Isle, Newlands, Fremantle, C of E Academy, and a few others.
Fantastic. I should actually give a shout out to a couple of those. So hello to everyone at Fair Isle Juniors and hello to everyone at Newlands Primary. I was there today dropping off It's Your Move booklets for the Year 6 cohorts today. We'll be getting those sometime next week, hopefully, as part of our transition support package for them. So hello to all of you guys, Newlands and Fair Isle, and of course to the other schools that we visit as well. But just wanted to give a special mention to them today. Now, as you know, Teresa, you've been watching these Thoughts at 3 online assemblies for the past 14 weeks or so. You know the normal structure. We say hello to our guest, we ask them some questions, and then there's a prayer at the end. So are you happy to do all of that for us today?
Yeah, I'm very happy.
Fantastic. We've already got people saying hello. Rebecca saying hi, Teresa. And Ellie is saying it's all looking and sounding good, which is encouraging. So let's crack on with the questions. First question for you is this. What do you get up to when you are not in schools with City Mission? What is it that you do? What have you been doing over lockdown? What do you get up to? Tell us your stuff.
Well, I'm married to Richard, and we've got 5 sons. So 2 of them are married, and 2 of them are usually away at university, but come home in the holidays. They've been home for lockdown. And the youngest one's still at school. It's actually his last day in school today. He's had a whole week of school this term, and he breaks up today. So looking after them and visiting the ones who are away takes up quite a bit of my time. We've also got 2 grandchildren who are absolutely wonderful. I'm really enjoying having little children around the place again. We are members of King's Church in Lordswood in Southampton. And so I'm involved in quite a few groups there, different meetings and things, and especially supporting some of the people that we support in other countries. Occasionally I get to go and visit them, which is really exciting. I like baking, especially, I like baking rather than cooking. Cooking's okay, but basically if it hasn't got a whole heap of sugar in it, I'm not really that interested. I've done a bit of gardening in lockdown. I built a rockery because I've got a tortoise and my tortoise likes climbing. So I built him this rockery, but unfortunately he is completely uninterested in climbing in it. But never mind. I think my favourite activity is meeting good friends with a good cup of coffee and a good piece of cake and having a good long chat. And I should maybe say that I do quite like watching films, but I tend to watch half a film. I have a habit of collapsing on the sofa, watching the first 20 minutes and then falling asleep and waking up in time for the end. So there are lots of films that I don't quite get what happened because I just slept through most of them.
Yeah, I know somebody else who likes to do that. I cannot do that. I have to watch a film all the way through. But thanks for letting us know a little bit about yourself there. Only one question I have from that is, what is the name of your tortoise?
Oh, he's called Saul, S-O-R-L-E. It's a Teutonic name that means armor-plated one.
Oh, armor-plated one.
And I thought armor-plated one was a good name for a tortoise. He's probably older than me.
Wow. I won't ask how old that is, but thank you. Good. We will crack right on with our next question. And don't forget, if you have got any questions for Teresa, please do add them into the comments so that we can ask her those in a moment. But our next question is this, Teresa. As you know, when we go into schools, all of our team are Christians. But we always get asked this question: why or how or why did you become a Christian? Can you tell us a little bit about why you made that choice?
Yeah, so when I was growing up, my parents took me to church at Christmas and maybe at Easter and maybe a few times in between. And when I was at primary school, I kind of thought, well, it makes sense to me that there's a God somewhere. And the world just didn't happen on its own. I found that very hard to believe, that actually there was someone there. There is someone there who's in charge of it all. And then when I went to secondary school, I wanted to find out a bit more. So I started asking lots of questions. And there were 2 things that particularly helped me. The first one was when I went from my primary school to my secondary school, I had one friend who went with me, and she was the only girl from my school who I knew at the new school. And she said to me one day, oh, I've got a friend in this school who's older than me, and she's going to the Christian Union at lunchtime. Do you want to come along? I didn't really know what Christian Union was all about, but I went along and thought it might be interesting. I might make some friends there, get to know some people. And it was really fascinating. We looked at the Bible a bit, but we also had lots of visiting speakers, and lots of them would come in and they talk about their friendship with God. And some of them would say, I went off to Africa or somewhere and worked in an orphanage or a school for 6 months, and then I came back again. And it was like God really had a plan and a purpose for their lives, and they were really excited about their faith. So that was one thing that helped me. The other one was that I went to Brownies and then I went on to guides. And at the end of guide meetings, we used to say a prayer. We used to have a really short prayer time, and people took it in turns to say the prayers. And most people, when it was their turn to say the prayers, they would go to the guide handbook, find the page at the back and read one of the prayers from it, and that would be it. But our guide captain was a lovely lady who was a Christian. And when it was her turn to pray, she just used to stand there with her hands behind her back and talk to God like he was a friend. And that just really impacted me. It was like she was sort of, I don't know, I just felt like she had a real friendship with God, and she was like inviting me into that. And that was just really interesting. So I asked lots more questions. I started reading my Bible and finding out lots of things there. I started going to a local church and joined a Bible study group. And then when I was about 15, I decided, yeah, I actually believe that what we read in the Bible is true. And so I said a prayer, just very simply. I just said to God, thank you for, I said, God, I'm sorry for the wrong things I've done. And please forgive me. And thank you that Jesus came, that you sent Jesus to come to die on the cross so that I can be forgiven for all the wrong things I've done, so I can have this friendship with you. That was what I'd been wanting for so long. And please, God, will you come into my life? Will you be Lord of my life? And will you guide me and show me what you want me to do in my life? So after that, I decided I wanted to be baptized as a kind of a public thing. And I actually went off to Africa for 6 months, worked with a Christian mission organization, came back to Southampton, or came back to the UK and came to university in Southampton. And then I found King's Church and got baptized there on Easter Sunday in 1988 in a little pool under the floor that's a bit bigger than a bath and a bit smaller than a swimming pool.
Wow, that is a fantastic story. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's amazing the impact that other people can have on our lives just by doing the simplest of things. Like, as you said, that guide leader just talking to God as if he was a friend. That's a really lovely story. I just want to say hello to a couple of people who have tuned in as we've been chatting. Hello to Hannah, who is watching from up north somewhere, Lucy's cousin, and hello to Ellen, who actually goes to your church, Teresa, apparently. So hello to both of you. Thanks for tuning in. Please do say hello if you'd like to in the comments, and also give us a question for Teresa. We've got 2 more prepared questions. The first of which is this: what is your favourite Bible story, Teresa?
I think it has to be the account of Jesus' death and resurrection. And it sounds a bit strange saying that the story of how somebody died is my favourite story, but it's the fact that Jesus came back to life again that makes it so amazingly special. And also, as Christians, we believe that Jesus didn't die because he'd done anything wrong, but actually for the wrong things that we'd done. And yeah, I just love that story of Easter Sunday morning when the women came to the tomb and they were expecting to find a dead body. They come with a load of spices and perfumes ready to embalm the body properly. They hadn't had time to do it before. And that's what they came to do. And they didn't expect, they expected to find a dead body. They didn't expect to find the tomb open, the stone rolled away, and an angel there telling them that Jesus had risen. And then 2 of Jesus's close friends, Peter and John, they came to the tomb as well. They ran there because they were so amazed. They weren't expecting it either. And they got to the tomb and it was empty. And then later, different ones of Jesus's friends saw him and met with him. They had meals with him. They had a picnic on the beach. And I just think none of the disciples, even though Jesus had said, I'm going to die and come back to life again, none of the disciples were actually expecting it. And just what must it have been like to have been there? It must have been incredible. So I love telling that story in schools. And yeah, I guess for me, it's like the central story of the Christian faith. And I think there are throughout history, there have been lots of teachers and lots of people who've done good things and said really important things. And they've all died. And Jesus did lots of great things and miracles and things, and taught lots of things that are the foundation of our laws and our society today in many ways. But if that's all he did, then he might have just been forgotten. But the fact that he died and came back to life again, it was like he was proving that he's God. And I guess that was, reading that and understanding that was part of what led me to be a Christian. And that's the story that I love to tell. And we always say in schools that, we don't come in to tell people what they have to believe. But I just love going in and sharing my story and saying, this is what's happened to me. This is how I became a Christian. This is the story. And then let people decide and make up their own minds what they believe.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's so important. It's really good to know, amongst everything that's going on, actually, that we live in a country where children are able to investigate the things that they believe, not just learning statistics or calculus or reading how to read. Obviously, all of those things are super important. But I always say, actually, the most important thing about us is what we believe about ourselves, the people around us, and the world at large. And so it's really encouraging to know we live in a place where actually these things can be discussed in an educational setting, because obviously there are places in the world where even this story that you've just talked about would not be allowed to be shared in school. I will say that Ellen is saying hello to you.
Hello, Ellen.
And we've got a couple of questions coming in, which I'll ask you in a moment. Ellie says she loves the story of how you became a Christian, which she wants to thank you for sharing. And I'd love to thank you for that as well. I've heard that before, but I love hearing that story. And we'll get on to our final question, which we have prepared for you before we go on to the live question. So the final question we have is this: What do you most enjoy about being part of the schools team at Southampton City Mission?
Can I say two things? Because I couldn't come up with one. Thank you. I really enjoy working with people from lots of different churches. Different churches have different ways they do things, and we all might have slightly different things that we believe. We're not all like exactly the same, but the fact that we're all Christians and we're all following Jesus and trying to follow Jesus, it just means that there's like a special bond between us, that it's just really easy to work together. And I just so appreciate all our volunteers and team leaders and people who come in. I just really like working in a team. And the second thing I really enjoy, at the end of most of our days, we do a question and answer session. And we ask children either to put their hands up with questions that they've got or write them down beforehand when they have a bit more time to think about them. And I just really like listening to children's questions and finding out how they think, and maybe helping them to, well, maybe helping to answer some of their questions. I always say I'm not an expert. I'm not a great theologian. I don't have a theology degree. I can't answer all your questions, but I can try, and we can kind of work something out together. I just really like trying to understand how other people see the world and their place in it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. That kind of leads me on actually to Lucy's question. Before I show you that, I would agree absolutely. It's so great. When we go into schools, we always try and contact the local churches in the schools area and say to them, look, we're going to be going into your school. Would you like to come in with us? And we're representing the Christian faith as we go in there, which isn't one denomination, it isn't one style. It's one church, which is everyone who believes in Jesus. And I think it's great that we can demonstrate all the different flavors of what that looks like when we go into schools by having people from all different denominations and styles and traditions come with us, which is fantastic. But Lucy says, and you kind of semi-answered this as well, so maybe give a second answer. But Lucy says, do you have a favorite activity that you like to do in schools? So maybe not the Q&A time, that's my favorite as well, and you've said that that's your favorite, but is there something else that you really like to do in schools, maybe a game or a craft or something like that?
Yeah, we do an Easter day on the Paschal candle, which is like a big candle that some churches burn. They start burning it at Easter, and it's big and thick, and they burn it all the way in different services through the year, and it has lots of different symbols on it, and I like talking about those symbols. And we take in big carpet tubes that we chop up to about 2 or 3, well, half a meter or something, and we cover them in, get the children to cover them in paper, and then put all the symbols on there and put their own symbols on as well that are something to do with the Easter story. And I love seeing the symbols that they make, and just the creativity and all the little bits of glitter and sparkly things and pipe cleaners and things that we get to put on there. And I always feel very guilty when I send the box back to the office and Ruth and Valerie have to sort it out for us. But it's great when we're in schools.
Yeah, which, as we heard yesterday, is probably Ruth's least favorite thing to tidy when it comes back into the office. But yeah, I agree. Those Paschal candles are great. So hopefully that answers your question, Lucy. We've got one more question from Ellie, which is this: what is your favorite question of faith topic to lead in schools? Now, we do lots of different topics. They would all be related to the Christian faith. Because we're representing the Christian faith as we go in, and we have a whole range from creation to prophecy to worship to trees as a symbol, baptism, Easter, sacrifice, interpretation, Christmas, all sorts of different topics. But out of those, and probably I know what you're going to say already because you kind of said it as your favorite story, but what is your favorite question of faith topic to lead in schools, Teresa?
I don't know. It's really hard to decide, and yeah, it's lovely that we have seasons of the year. So we start off doing harvest, and then we do Christmas, and then we do Easter. I do love the Easter days, but I also really enjoy the one on prophecy and the one on Mary, Mother of God, as well, and thinking about what life must have been like for Mary, finding out that she was having a baby that she wasn't expecting, and then giving birth to Jesus, and all the joys and the sorrows of that, and thinking about that. So yeah, maybe that's one of my favorites, but definitely the Easter days as well.
Of course. Brilliant. Fantastic. So final question for you, just very quickly. Rebecca would like to know where we can read about your favorite story in the Bible. So that story of Easter, where do we need to go in the Bible to read that story?
I would say go to Mark's Gospel, and I think it's about chapter 14, 15, and then chapter 16 at the end. That's fantastic. A good place to start. But all the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, they all have different bits of that story in.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. So that's the second half of the Bible, the New Testament, and the first few books at the beginning of that. If you've got a Bible, open up the front. It will have a whole index at the front. It will tell you the pages to look. All you need to look for is that Mark's Gospel, which is the second one in the New Testament. Go and find that, and you can read all about Teresa's favorite story. Well, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, Teresa. It's been a real pleasure chatting with you. And thank you too for the stuff that you've done for us for our online learning packs as well. I know you recorded at least one story for that. And of course, you've been praying for us over the last months as we've been producing these online learning packs for schools, because you coordinate the City Mission prayer evenings as well. So thank you so much for all the ways that you've been involved with us. Would you please just pray for us and all the viewers watching as we come to an end this afternoon?
Yeah, I'd be very happy to do that. So prayer is very simple. It's just talking to God like we talk to a friend. You don't have to join in if you don't want to, but if you'd like to, then if you agree with what I say, then you can say Amen at the end. Let's pray. Loving God, thank you for the ways that you've worked in my life and helped me to make sense of the world and to find you in it. And I pray you'll help the children and other people watching today and those that we visit in schools to think about the bigger questions of life, to think about the world around them and to find their place in it. And if you agree, you can say Amen.
Amen. Brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing with us this afternoon, Teresa. I hope you have a good weekend and look forward to working more closely with you again in September after the summer holidays.
Yes.
Take care. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Fantastic. So that was the end of our 5th Meet the Team, and these will be continuing next week. We have another 5 days of school as we run up to the end of term and the end of the academic year, and we will be meeting another 5 members of our team next week. Ellie will be back on Monday when she will be meeting with Dan, who is one of our trainee team leaders, and he is linked quite closely to Bassett Green Primary School. So please do tune in at 3 o'clock on Monday. That's the 13th of July to see Ellie chatting and asking these same questions that we've seen today with Dan. And obviously, of course, if you are a Year 6 student or you know a Year 6 student, please do tell them about our transition support online resources, because there are some great stuff that we have there via our Google Classroom learning environment, including videos and crafts and online activities, as well, of course, as our Circle Selfies project, which more and more schools now are picking up and saying, yeah, we're going to get our Year 6s to do this as one of the last things that they do for their academic year. So we're really looking forward to seeing all of those self-portraits. Please do get them to us by emailing them us to I'll try that again, at schools@southamptoncitymission.co.uk. And if you haven't got the template yet, you can go to our website. The link was just on the screen, and you can download that from there. I'm going to say goodbye. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and look forward to seeing you again next week. Stay safe, take care, and God bless. Bye-bye.